All praise to the true and living power is real, for indeed the Most High is worthy to be praised forever. I thought I'd get on here and chime with you all for a few minutes. I'm going to say this. We have to be, everybody, we have to be very, 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 very careful at telling one another and saying God said, or Spirit said, or Holy Spirit said. And we give that advice out, and it's really literally just an opinion that we have about something. You know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of people that have a lot of different platforms, okay? And we just should not be taking advantage of other people's weaknesses. You don't know where somebody is in their life. And sometimes people may get online to hear something. Some of them get online because they need to hear an encouraging word, and some of us, the true living God does use us to speak life into people that need to have life spoken into them, okay? And it's in those intricate times, those intricate moments, that it should always be, this is what God said, okay? And it literally be something that the Spirit of the true living God said, okay? And if it is an opinion that has been formulated, then we need to be careful enough to say, this is my opinion. And never try and use that and say, God said, the Holy Spirit said, or Spirit said, to use that as to back up what we're saying. Because that may not be something that can be substantiated. Because if a person goes online and that's what is happening in that person's life at that moment, and it winds up being a lie and it's not the truth, then that person is going to blame God for that, and it's not God's fault. It's the person that they heard say something that said that God said it. Okay, I'm sorry about all the noise in the background with the traffic or whatever, but you see me sweating here, I'm sweating. Excuse me. But it should always be that, and if we're saying something that somebody else said, that we will say. A lot of times we all do it. We'll hear somebody say something, a phrase, or coin a phrase, and we'll say it and we'll use it. We need to give credit to the person that we heard say it, and say, I heard so-and-so say this or say that. You know what I'm saying? We should get in the habit of showing more love. And sometimes it can be as simple as the advice that we give, or the motivational speeches that we give, or the topics that we're discussing. But it should always be given with the right intent, and it is to help others with where they're at, okay? We are supposed to be helpers one to another. And it's relatively simple if we think about it. You know what I'm saying? It's really simple. It's not hard. But we should be using any and every type of platform that we have to speak life into others. Every single time with the right intent on doing it, okay? Because if you think about it, the true living God entrusts information to us that he allows to speak, that he will allow to use as a mouthpiece to speak things. Even because in the book of Joel it says, the true living God said that in the last days he said, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. So again, people are listening because of that. I don't put God in a box. I believe that the true living God will do exactly what the word says that the true living God will do. He said, in the last days I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Okay? People are looking for that. They're listening for that. Okay? All right? So, therefore, we should not be trying to substantiate our opinions with saying God said, or this is a prophetic word, and whatever. We just don't do that. That's very dangerous. That is very dangerous, okay? Because he's entrusting that what we say, he actually said it, okay? Because it can hurt and harm a lot of people, okay? It really, and it happens all the time. It happens more often than we are willing to admit, okay? We are to be helpers one to another, all right? And we need to be mindful of that every time that we speak. If we're saying God said, Spirit said, or we're prophesying this and prophesying that, or whatever. And if you know the person's name that you're prophesying to or about, then speak that person's name so that other people that are hearing the message, that it's not theirs. If you know that person's name, say their name, so that if that is in fact their name, then they'll know the message is for them, and that it's not for a person it's just a general word or words being spoken, and then any and everybody is like trying to claim that for themselves. And if nothing happens, then well, that person said, but then that person also try to use God to substantiate what they said. Let's be more hold ourselves more accountable for the things that we are speaking into the lives of other people. Okay, and we should always do that with love and from a heart posture of having the right intentions for what we're saying to others. Okay, because again, the more I have found, the more truthful that I am with what I say, the more of the true living God has entrusted with me into knowing what the word says in a lot of ways. Okay, and that is because of, I'm not going to say that God says something that he didn't say or that he didn't tell me to say. I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's important. It's very, very, very important. But I wanted to get on here and just, as a refresher. I love you guys. Always keep that in mind, that when we're speaking to others, that we're doing it, letting people know. Okay, and whether it's an opinion or whether God actually said it. Okay, all right. But I love you all enough to tell you the truth. And until next time, be blessed.